Hello friends, welcome to the Cold War Prepper. My name is Lee, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about a crisis that's looming on us and my recommended solution for it. So we are in the middle of a major drought. Water restrictions like you would not believe. Lake Powell and Lake Mead are both at becoming dead pool lakes, and it's getting bad. It's getting really bad. Now here's the problem. What water is available is going to be used to focus on keeping humans alive, drinking water. And then it's going to be taken away from agriculture. Now, what happens when you take the water away from the agriculture is now you don't have the fruits, the vegetables, or the fodder for farm animals. Here in Central Texas, we're going to be extremely lucky if we get 2 hay cuttings. I'm going to say we're probably lucky we got 1, and we typically get about 4. Now, usually the cattle are going to graze on that grass throughout the summer, and then late August we'll start getting back into the rain cycle, but that doesn't look that good this year unless we get hit with hurricanes. And but anyhow, so you got to have that fodder, the grass for the cattle. And then, of course, the cattle go to the feedlots, and then from there they get butchered and come to us as meat. So there's one farmer who is saying that he's down from about 500 head of cattle to 17. That's all his land will support right now because of the drought. And so he's picked his 17 that's going to be the starting point for his next herd. And, that's hoping that his tank, his other tank, one tank is already dry. The other tank is down about 70%, so he doesn't have that much water. He's just hoping for rain, if we can get any kind of rain, to keep his cattle alive. Now, here in Central Texas, you can buy a quarter cow, and that's going to be right at 29 cents on the hoof per pound. And it's they're trying to make ends meet. They can't buy the hay. The hay just isn't there. And usually hay is reserved for the winter months when the grass doesn't grow. So, it's going to be a kind of a problem. So how are we going to solve these 2 problems? Well, number one, water. I have stopped drinking sodas. About 6 months ago. I drink these 80-cent bottles of water, flavored water from Walmart. And then when we empty that bottle, we clean it and fill it up with water, and then we're finding places to do it. This, where I'm sitting now, this is... We bought this in Munich, Germany. It's called an Eckbankgruppe. So it's a corner dining room table. This is all one piece here, then the table here, and then there's a chair and a stool and a stool. So this will seat 8 people around one big square table. And so I'm using the area underneath the stools to store water. I'm looking for any place and every place in the house I can to store 1 quart bottles of water, and then how are we going to get that afterwards? So I would say focus number 1 on making sure you get water, and that's something you can do fairly inexpensively. Now there are some other I was talking with Maggie, and she recommended a rain barrel catchment system to me that's on Amazon, and I'll try to put that link down here if you want to try the catchment system. But I know a lot of you are in apartments and can't use a rain barrel catchment system, and I understand that, and that's probably where these are going to come in handy for you as far as filling up old bottles. The next problem is going to be one of food, because remember that we have to have the water for the grain to grow the grain, to grow the grass. The grass gets consumed by the animals, then the animals go to butchery. So if you don't have the grass to feed the animals, you don't have the animals that you're going to butcher. So we've got some areas of concern. We've got Idaho potatoes are going to be very short, probably starting late fall. We've got the wheat production, especially with the problems that we have going on overseas. And then the wheat belt here in the United States is going through severe drought. So we're going to have problems with wheat, and that's going to be anything that contains wheat, biscuits, rolls, whatever. So, you want to focus on getting some of that stuff. And don't forget to get your yeast and freeze your yeast so you'll have something if you want to rise your wheat. And cornmeal is going to be the same thing, but corn is the third crop. and that we're having problems with, and so the Corn Belt is kind of under drought conditions as well. And then some of that is being earmarked to be turned into fuel for vehicles instead of consumption for humans. And of course, the alternative there is it's also used as a final feed for cattle before they go to market and before they get butchered. But and so we've got potatoes, wheat, corn, soybeans are having a problem as well. And so we're going to have some critical shortages here. So I'm going to say, come up with a plan. How are you going to do this? Now, let me tell you my plan, and I'll tell you a couple advantages and disadvantages to it, but we'll see how that works for you. So I was looking. I've been cleaning up my pantry room. That's the one I had it totally torn apart, and then broke my hip, and I was starting to get it back together, and then came down with the cough. And so finally, I was in there yesterday, and I found I found this. This is a 2018 invoice from Thrive Life for some stuff that I ordered from them. And I'm going to share that with you here in just a minute. Gosh, there's been some changes. But anyhow, there are some major areas I want you to focus on. Get canned meat, as much canned meat as you can. That can be chili, that can be spaghetti and meatballs. There is a company that makes meatballs. And then there in cans, you've got roast beef, chicken, tuna. Get as much of that as you can. I think that's going to be one of your longer term storages. Now, in addition to the canned stuff, I do get a lot of freeze-dried meat from Thrive Life. And this month, I didn't get shrimp. I've been trying to get shrimp because I want to make a lot of gumbos. I'm convinced that soups, stews, and casseroles are going to be the primary way we're going to eat here in the very near future. So I like the shrimp so I can make some gumbo, but I didn't order gumbo shrimp this month because it's a little bit more expensive. I just got a bigger can of ground beef. Then pay attention to your fats and oils. Coconut oil stores pretty long. Get that. I used to order freeze-dried shortening from Thrive Life, but they've discontinued that, and so it's not out there anymore. But look for shortenings and fats for cooking and everything else, and you're going to need that for your body as well. Make sure you get plenty of dry goods, rice, beans. And I'm going to say potatoes. Make sure you get plenty of potatoes. You can get the packages of mashed potatoes. You've got the little cartons, look like the milk cartons we had in high school or in grade school, and of the half-pint milk cartons, and that's hash brown potatoes. I think they're dehydrated hash brown potatoes, and you got scalloped and au gratin potatoes available to you. So mashed. You got all these different potato options. Make sure you're picking up a couple of those every time you go, and pick up a package or two of gravy, and that's going to really enhance that. Also, make sure you start getting yourself good with beans and legumes. We do a lot of pinto beans, and as I start doing my cooking and showing you that here in the near future, one of the things that I'm really heavy on is refried beans. And a bean burrito, there's nothing better than that sometimes. Bean and cheese and onion, and as a matter of fact, when I was buying before the pandemic, I used to make one trip a month to the LDS store, and I would always pick up one can of freeze-dried refried beans, one can of onions, and one can of flour. And I figured with the flour I can make tortillas, with the onions add that to the instant refried beans, and then I could have a bean burrito, and that could be a quick breakfast meal or something like that. So I also want to encourage you to think about meals. When you buy things, don't buy things willy-nilly. Buy a meal. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to have dinner tonight, so you're going to go get the roast beef, a can of roast beef, Butterfield roast beef at Walmart. You're going to get a package of mashed potatoes. So now you're going to cook that roast beef, put the gravy on top of the mashed potatoes that you make. You got the roast beef on the side, the mashed potatoes, get a vegetable, maybe a can of peas, or a can of mixed vegetables, and then have a fruit for dessert. So if you can get those four things, you've got a meal. And you might be able to feed 2 people with that. So start thinking about those things. How can you do that? Rice, rice and beans, rice and chicken, arroz con pollo. But there's all kinds of great things you can do with rice and beans. So think of legumes as well. Then make sure you pick up some pastas and some pasta sauce. And so let me share this with you, and we'll use that as an example. Okay, so in August 4th of 2018, I ordered one to-go variety pack. Now that was 6 of these. So this is one meal. This is a breakfast meal. This is scrambled eggs, potatoes, and sausage for a breakfast. All you do is add the hot water, recover it, let it come together, and that's going to be a breakfast. So 6 of these cost $17, and that was in just 4 years ago this month. Now, right now, this is no longer made. They don't make these anymore. I have found something just as good, if not better, and through nutrient survival. And so this is the home-style scramble. It's the same thing as this. The only difference is this doesn't have the meat. It doesn't have sausage. So you add a little bit of Spam, add a little bit of freeze-dried sausage, you've got the exact same thing. And believe it or not, ounce per ounce, I like this better. So, and that is available and being made, whereas this is not. Then I got one scrambled egg PC, that pantry can, and that's a number 2.5 can. It's about 1/3 the size of a number 10, which is the 3-pound coffee can. And so I got that with of scrambled eggs, and that was $30 back then. It's not that much more now. Let me see, what is it with the price right now for about the same thing with. I do these lists where I put down the product in each size and then how many servings you get for that cost, so I can figure out which one is the best buy. So the eggs, home style scramble. So right now this is $47.25 for 10 servings, and this was $29.99 or $30 for 7 servings. So they're pretty much in line. Now this one is nutrient enhanced. So they've added minerals, vitamins, and other things in it to enhance it. It makes it a far more nutritious meal than what I had through Thrive Life. Then we had Cheddar Cheese in Thrive Life. A PC cost $21.49. Today's price is $29.79, almost $30. Now, Thrive Life in the dairy category used to have sour cream, whole cream, heavy cream, butter, shortening, and 4 types of cheeses: cheddar, Colby Jack, Parmesan, and mozzarella. The only things available today are sour cream, milk, and cheddar cheese. They've discontinued all the others because of demand, trying to keep up these batches. And and the bad thing is I focused on getting cheddar cheese originally, and then was starting to backfill everything. So I only have 6 cans of mozzarella Parmesan each, mozzarella Parmesan and Colby Jack, whereas I probably have about 20 cans of cheddar. So that was my bad. I should have probably rotated that and gotten the other stuff before they discontinued them. I also got a can of diced ham, and that was $26.09 a year ago, and that was for 7 servings, 7 1/4 cup servings. So, and then I had a can of shortening powder for $10.59. So neither the ham dices nor the shortening powder are made anymore by Thrive Life. So we see the industry is beginning to focus in on things that they can get and supply on a regular basis. And as demand increases, a couple things happen. Supplies are shorter, prices are going to go up. And what I can tell you is freeze-dried food, is dehydrated food more expensive than canned goods or straight off the shelf bulk commodities? Absolutely. The only thing I can tell you that I am certain of is it's going to cost you less to buy it today than it's going to cost you to buy it next week. And it does have a fairly long shelf life. So consider that as one solution. I'm not saying go out and buy the store, but if you can start picking up 1 can of something, whether it be 1 can of butter, 1 can shredded cheese, shredded cheddar cheese, or something. Pick up one can of something. Now, one thing I do like is Nutrient Survival has an agreement with a company, so that when you go to checkout, you can actually finance and pay for your purchase over 6 months if it's in excess of something like $50. So if you want to get everything at today's prices and then finance that and pay it off over time, you know, that's something you might consider. And I know that not all of us are capable of doing that. I understand that. But that's just another option that's out there for you. So here in the near future, I'm going to be doing some videos, and hopefully Helen will cooperate and take video of me cooking things. I want you to start thinking in terms of meals. And when you purchase something, purchase one extra meal every time you go to the store. One example I like is the Butterfield roast beef in a can. It's about the same size as a tuna can or a can of chicken. It has gravy in it. So you're going to take the roast beef out, cook it. You're going to take a package of instant mashed potatoes, cook it. Use the gravy from the Butterfield roast beef to put on top of your mashed potatoes. Now you've got roast beef, mashed potatoes. Then you can add to it a small 6-ounce can of mixed vegetables and a 6-ounce can of fruit, and now you've got a complete meal. You've got your everything you need for a nutritious meal. And then, you know, some of the other things we can do is I'm going to start talking about some fantastic breakfast ideas. Nutrient Survival has, let me see, did I bring any out here to show you? No, I didn't bring it out to show you, but they have 2 fantastic rice cereals for breakfast. They have oatmeal. I'm not an oatmeal fan, but I'm going to get some simply because that may be something that you know, if it gets bad enough, I'll eat it. I won't tell you some of the stuff I ate in the Army, but you know, that's the way it is. Okay, so just wanted to give you some ideas, some cautions, and come up with a plan. How are you going to get water? How are you going to keep food? So remember, we're all in this together, so we can come out the other side together. Take care, because togetherness is the key. Bye-bye.